Hi, I'm Kimberly, and I went through over a decade of severe chronic illness, and now I am sharing my story and helping others in some little ways that might help them along their journeys. So today, I'm going to talk about off-gassing. Off-gassing is a release of VOCs, or volatile organic compounds, I believe it stands for, that are in our modern day products. So it's things that are toxic, like formaldehyde is in a lot of products. A lot of different glues and adhesives have that in, so that's used heavily in furniture or rugs. So that's what brings me to this conversation today. I got this rug right here, and oh my gosh, it is stinky. I had severe reactions to VOCs for a very long time in laundry detergents, the chemicals, the fragrances that are in them, and also in perfumes and furniture. I'll have a whole story that I'll share about an off-gassing experience that I had when I was highly reactive and to VOCs. And so this today here with this rug here, I got this on Amazon, and it's funny because I wouldn't have not even been able to even think of purchasing a rug like this on Amazon a few years back. And so I got this one. I actually ordered this in a smaller size, and I had it in my room, and I was sleeping, and then I ended up waking up and my throat was sore. My nose felt like it was like kind of burning a little bit, almost felt like crusty, and my bones started to ache a little bit. So those are responses that I get to VOCs, and they might be responses that you're having to VOCs as well. So something that I had a lot for many, many years was bone pain for multiple different reasons. It feels like growing pains, or just like an ache in the bone. It's not arthritis, it's different than that. I also had arthritic like pains, and that was more so in the joints, but this was like deep in the bone that I would have the pain. So I had like a very mild version of that the night that I slept with the smaller version of this rug in my room. And so I returned that because I wanted a bigger one. Now here's my thought. You're probably like, well, why did you order a bigger one if you thought you were reacting to the smaller one? I have a ozonator, an ozone making machine. So an ozone machine is something that can break down VOCs. It is also something that I've used heavily for mold toxins. I did mold remediation in the house, and I used that afterwards to help. I also had a tiny home for a while, and there was some water damage in there. I cut out that part of the floor, replaced it, and then I ran the ozone machine in there. And I definitely noticed a difference after running the ozone machine for mold. And I've also used it for VOCs, but not as much so for VOCs. So I was going to try it with this rug. I have like a month to return it if I want to return it. And so I put it up in a different room and ran that ozone machine for like 36 hours. And so right now it smells like ozone. I can also still smell the formaldehyde, like VOC smell to it as well. I have it out in the sun right now. It's been raining for the past like 4 days, so I wasn't able to, after I got it, I put it up in the room with the ozone machine immediately, and then I wasn't able to put it out in the sun. Otherwise, I would have put it in the sun every day and ran it at night to help break that down. So the sun actually also breaks down VOCs, the volatile organic chemicals or compounds. I can't remember what the C exactly stands for. And it kind of breaks that apart, allows it to escape up into the air. So it's called off-gassing because it is the chemical gases that are releasing up and out of the furniture or the rug or laundry detergents, whatever it is that they're escaping out of. And this can happen for a very long time with new furniture. So when I was really experiencing severe chronic illness, I was sensitive to VOCs, and I was also sensitive to mold. And I was kind of like a catch-22 here, because when you're reacting to the mold, you're thinking, okay, I want to get new stuff that's not going to be moldy. And then there's the other thing to worry about, which is VOC. So am I going to react to the chemicals? Now, not everybody is highly reactive to these things. However, it is something to just keep in mind if you are going through mold remediation, or if you're changing out your furniture for any reason, just to be mindful of the chemicals that could be coming off of it. If it's something you notice like within a couple days, or you might be able to like read reviews and see, because sometimes people do say like, oh, this was like so smelly for various different products. I was also looking into ceramic heaters for a while when I was in my tiny home, and they are highly toxic. They have a lot of gases in it. I have a straightener, a hair straightener that is a ceramic, has a ceramic coating on it, and I've had that for like 10 years and it still smells when I turn it on. So I only use that very, here and there, and for a very short amount of time when I straighten my hair. So it's much more mild than it was in the past, but it's still off-gassing. It's still creating and releasing that gas release. So it's just something to consider at looking at what these products are made with, looking at reviews, talking to a manufacturer, or a store that you're looking at something in, or even just like, smelling. If you walk into a store and you're going to buy furniture and it has that smell to it, then that's obviously something to consider. This can even be with clothing. Like pretty much everybody I've talked to has said that they've got some kind of article of clothing and it just stinks. Or sometimes you walk into a store and it's just like, what is that smell? It's like, it's like the off-gassing of whatever it is that are in those fabrics, because a lot of those fabrics are plastic, and they use various different kinds of adhesives or chemicals to treat the fabrics, or the dyes that they can use can be really toxic as well. So my plan with this rug here is that I am going to let this sit in the sun. I think it's supposed to be sunny for the next few days, for maybe the next week. So I'm going to keep letting it air out and see if it releases enough gases that it's not going to be burning my nose or making my bones hurt. So I'm just gonna see how that goes. It might be a return that happens here, but I thought, what, it's kind of cool that I'm even in a place where I can like try this now and have the energy to put this up in a room and ozone it and bring it outside. It's a heavy rug, so thankful for that. And then I also will share a little bit of the story, as I said earlier, on the off-gassing experience that I had in the past. So actually, right after I got stem cells, I went to it was in June of 2018. I went to my mom's house in Arizona, and she had just gotten 2 new rugs and some new furniture in there. And it's very hot in Arizona. It was over 100 degrees on this day that we arrived, and the house had been closed up. So in Arizona, you have to keep your air conditioning set at something so that when you're not there, the cabinets don't start to crack and dry out and everything. But I think it was set to around like 85, 87 to keep the house around that temperature. So it was still holding in a lot, and it was very sealed up. All the windows and doors were closed. So when we went into the house, it was just fuming with these new all these VOCs from the rugs and the furniture. And I was kind of in my mind, I had started a brain retraining process, so I was in my mind like, okay, like, my body is safe with this, but I was at the very beginning of this, and I had just had stem cells, so my body was like very reactive to things. I went into hyper reactivity, sensitivity to everything after stem cells for many, many, many months. So after a very short time of being in the house, I think I have a video actually on this that I can link here in the description below, of me at that point in time, which is crazy that that's even me. And I was in the house for a very short amount of time. I want to say it's like less than an hour. And I started my whole face broke out in hives and rashes. It was all red. And I ended up going into the car, because again, it was over 100 degrees. I was heat intolerant at that point in time. So if it was above 80 degrees, I couldn't be outside. I would start swelling. I would get in extreme pain. I would feel like I was going to pass out. I would lose my vision when I would stand up. So I was heavily heat intolerant at this time. So I'm sitting in the car in the garage with the garage door open to cracks to keep the airflow going in like the air conditioning in the car, panicking because I'm like, oh my God, what do I do? And I'm here in Arizona. And so I ended up sitting there in the car until like I kind of calmed myself down enough. I filmed that video that is that I would link here. And I ended up spending the night in the room, like keeping the air purifier on and just keeping the door closed, and then ended up leaving the next morning because I absolutely couldn't stay there. So I had an extreme reaction to the VOCs there, and I was in just a complete state of fight or flight and panic. I had just had this treatment done. There was just so many questions and things, and I mean, this is just getting into a little side here is like the worry, the amount of worry and the amount of panic and the amount of fight or flight that's involved in your wellness when you're really not feeling well and you're experiencing so many symptoms. It's immense, and it's like it feels like life or death, and it can be life or death in certain circumstances. Like I had 2 anaphylactic shocks, and so it can legit be life and death, and then the body can also get into states of panic where it thinks it's life and death. So it's kind of a navigation between, okay, where is like the real threat, where is the perceived threat, and how do I train myself out of this? It's like 3 big questions right here to answer. So it's not little things, and it can feel extremely stressful to be in those situations. My advice there is listen to your gut and your intuition as much as possible. I know it can feel twisted sometimes because you're like, what's my panic and what's my intuition? Your body is telling you sometimes false signals. Like really feel into what it is that is like a real perceived threat in that moment, because your body's going to be at different points in its training period. So if you're, at the very beginning stages, like I was with the primary training, and I really hadn't done like the work yet to get to a stage where I could be in that training zone. I was just at the beginning stages. That was like a real perceived threat for me. Like I was physically reacting to that. I was breaking out in rashes. My body, my cells were not ready to handle that. Like my physical body had not manifested cells that were ready to handle that. So I was still here. But then when I was here, somewhere in the middle between where I was then at that point in time in 2018 to where I am now here in November 2023, I was somewhere in the middle. I was able to kind of say, okay, I'm using my brain retraining tools. I know that my body is safe. I'm changing my physical cells of my body, and I was able to tolerate way, way more. It took a lot longer for me to be in a situation if I did even react to something. And so it took time to get there, but I was building the cells as well as the mindset and the belief change that was happening there until I'm at this place where now I'm sitting. I can smell the off-gassing coming off of this rug here, but it is not bothering me. I'm not closed up in a room with it. And it's also like these are toxins. Like anybody is going to have some kind of response to being, whether they're aware of it or not. They might have like they're just starting to feel low, they're starting to feel down, they're starting to notice like changes in their cognition. Maybe they're not sleeping very well at night. There's going to be these things, but it just is the awareness that's around it, as to how much, like, one, some people are going to react just more highly than others. 2, there's an awareness around it. So multiple angles to this healing thing. There's no like linear path here, and everybody's got so many different variables, but that's like a good way to look at it, is like, where are you at in your training? Like, where are you at in the way that you're changing your physical cells? Are you all the way at the very beginning here? Are you somewhere in the middle? Or are you very far on the other end where you can really be around this stuff and introduce it? And it's like, you just making a choice of if I want to put myself in a place where I'm exposed to poisons or not. So that's my story with the rug there. If you're interested in learning more about me, feel free to check out some more videos on here. Or if you're interested in coaching and energy work, feel free to check out my website at kimberlyharder.com, or reach out to me on Instagram at kimbers.new.frequency if you'd like to message me and set up a consultation. again, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. All right, bye.